Absolute mass changes this week for your round 6 team list. Let's get in, let's analyze. I'm kidding, there's not that many changes. We have the Raiders and the Cowboys, the best team in the competition to start us off. And we see Scott Drinkwater at the back again. So a few people have asked me if he's someone that we should be targeting for our squads this week. And I think it's a no. We don't see Hamiso coming back. We see him coming back in a couple of weeks. So he should end up back in that number 1 jersey, unless Scott absolutely kills it over that next couple of weeks. So I suppose the question is, which spot does Hamiso take? He's not going to take one of the wingers spot. You wouldn't think he takes home spot. And Peter Iku's actually been playing really well. So where does he fit in this squad is the question. Where does Scott fit in the squad as well? So there's too many question marks, and I'd just be staying clear of that at this point. If we're looking at the forwards for the Cowboys, if you've got Taumalolo, I think you've got to keep him in your team. He's had 2 really strong games, and I can see that maintaining the same. Anything around that 50 mark, 55 for his point scoring is going to be a win for you. There's a lot of guys that are scoring around that mid 40s at the moment, and if Jason can continue doing that for you in that mid 50s, then I think he's a hold this week. Jeremiah Nanai is one of the guys we've been speaking about as potentially being someone that you could use as a downgrade or an upgrade target this week. You don't have to do that this week. You can wait a week or two and make your decision from there, I think, with him. If you have if you have plenty of cash in the bank and you can go him straight up to a gun, I think that would be a good idea, just for the fact that there isn't too many cheapies available this week, but we'll get into that a little bit later in this video. So that's that on the Cowboy side. If you got Tommy Gilbert, I'd be holding on to him as well. With the Raiders, I'd continue to play Brad Snyder. He's been doing really, really well. Able to get 44 against a really good Storm side. It was awesome last week. And Tommy Starling came back with a bang, got the 80 minutes, and they've actually put Xavier Savage onto the 14, in the 14 jersey there instead of Matt Frawley. Frawley didn't play last week, so with Xavier getting his opportunity, he can cover a few positions and is obviously pretty electric. The Raiders haven't played amazingly over the first month or so of footy, and he will be able to bring a little bit of spark to them if they happen to get an injury. So yeah, that's pretty much it in that first game, guys. We'll move on to the Bunnies and the Dogs there. And we see Blake Taft move into the 1 jersey for Latrell Mitchell. So he gets that opportunity for the next 8 weeks. Only thing to think about with him is he doesn't have a very low break even. Like, it's pretty normal. If he scores well, he'll make a bit of money. But it's not a must-have like last week was, or that last opportunity with a -7 break even. He scores a 50, he made 70k. With Blake, I think you can wait a week. The main worry here is they do come up against the Dogs, and there's a big chance that he does really well this week. The only thing with him, I'll say, is that he is coming back from an ankle injury and hasn't really trained with the team much. So he actually did really, really well to get that 65 minutes in, and with his fitness and actually play good footy. The good thing with him, he kicks goals, and we saw what he did in the final series last year at number 1 in a good team. So over the next few weeks, he could be an option. You could pick him up this week if you like, but there is someone else that you could potentially pick up in your side this week, which we'll speak about a little bit later. Cody Walker, people are saying, he's getting a lot cheaper now. We should pick him up. I would still hold clear of him just for the fact that he hasn't scored well yet. If he strings a couple of good scores together, he won't make too much money for it to be annoying to bring into your side, or for him to be too expensive. So I think you got to make sure that he's actually scoring well, regularly and consistently, to be able to bring into your side. Lockie Ilias, really, really good option to even play this week. He comes up against the Dogs. He's starting to kick the ball a lot more in general play, and has been given a lot more opportunities in the red zone to be able to do little grubbers, short balls to Kolomatangi. He has a really nice right side there, and I think you can play him pretty comfortably this week and get somewhere between a 40 and 50. Like we spoke about last week, he's getting into that zone now. He's playing a lot better and could be a decent option for your side. If you're looking for a gun hooker, Damien Cook's your man. Jai Arrow is someone that we could look to potentially move on in the next few weeks, and Cam Murray is also someone that's playing really well and is a great option. So Cook and Murray, obviously your clear guys to pick up in this side. On the Dog side, I think you'd be holding strong with Matty Burton. And other than that, it's not really many guys to think about picking up, apart from TPJ, who has put a couple of decent scores together now. Playing bigger minutes is ideal. Obviously, he has a few opportunities to get some tackle busts, some offloads, and score really well for your side. So if you're thinking about him in a dual position, who's probably not going to play Origin, then he could be a decent opportunity for you. If you're happy to ride the wave for someone that's, not always going to score amazing, but he could score an 80, he could score a 17, which we've seen this year so far. So that's that. And Maxi King, he's still got a bit of money to make and is scoring well. So get him in your side, in your starting side, I think is the best idea there. All right, let's move along to the Panthers and the Broncos there. In terms of our outside backs for the Panthers, we've got Tungo doing really well. We've got Crichton there. A lot of people are thinking about him, but just remember that there's not a lot of wing fullback options. And even if you're trading him out for a Gula, a Taff, for example, you're replacing a like for like, which means you're probably not going to have cover still in the wing fullback. So if you can get one of those guys in a different way and they happen to score well, then you could look to move on Crichton. But I just think you can give another week or two. His break even isn't super high. If he picks up a 25 or 30, he's only going to lose a tiny bit of cash. You've made a lot on him, so you picked him up in the early 300s, which is not a big issue when he's over 500 at this point. You've done really well with Crichton, so I think you can wait a week or two before you look to move him on. He could also come out and get a 50 this week against the Broncos. So I'm personally still going to be playing him in my team, and I think that you probably should as well. Nathan Cleary. This is the game. This is the one where it explodes. It has to be. He comes up against the Broncos. He played a lot better last week than he has, that he did the first week. So I think I'm just going to see some progressive improvement for Nath. They should be dominating this game again against the Broncos, even though they did play a lot better. Panthers are a different beast. And the goals are going to be there, the kick meters. I think he's, you can see him take the line on it a little bit more last week. So a score over 65 should be pretty safe for Cleary. He'll lose a little bit more money, but I still think this week's a great option to get him. Next week might be as well. But, do you want to go one too late and miss out on a really good score? Because he's going to start to slow down that money loss. He's lost 58k, nothing crazy at this point. So definitely a good option. On the Broncos side, Katoni Staggs, a few people asked me about him now. He's had one really good game. I'd probably hold off this week against the Panthers. They might be able to nullify him a little bit. Obviously, the left side defense for the Panthers is very young, but when you've got Vili Kikau there as well, he can handle and help Tungo there. Handle Staggs, I think, definitely. Billy Walters, someone that's probably going to make a tiny bit more cash, unless he picks up a big score here, but I doubt it's going to happen against the Panthers. So I think just at the 347 price point, it's probably easier just to hold him at the moment and make some decisions on him a little bit later. But if you need to trade him to get someone else in or make a trade work to bring in a gun elsewhere, then you could do that for sure. You're not gonna lose out on a couple of 100k in price rises unless someone like Reynolds is out and Billy can play a bit more of a focal point role in the Broncos attack. So Kobe Hetherington, this is the week. Payne Haas is out, so he's out for 1 week, guys. That's not an issue. I wouldn't be trading him out at all. Leave him in there. And he'll be fine for next week, back scoring big points for your side. So Kobe's the man this week. I still think he's going to be a decent option. Hopefully he does that for my team and anyone who selected him with me. That's all I want to say on that. They got Corey Jensen, they got Palacia in the forwards there. When you got Reece Kennedy, Ryan James and TC Rabadi on the interchange, surely Kobe plays some big minutes. Like Capewell and Ricky are going to get 80. But, Turpin loses some to Pakes, for example, and the Palacia, Jensen, Kennedy, and Ryan James combo there, they'll split those minutes, and then probably, 30 for TC for Kobe there, I think. So at least 50 minutes for Kobe this week. Let's hope and pray. Anyway, let's move along. Eagles and the Titans. So Kula, he's in the center position. We lose Morgan Harper, interestingly enough. So Parker keeps his spot. Tui Pelotu, he keeps his spot on the bench. So Garrick in the one position with Kula there. What are we expecting from him? At the super cheap auto price of 220k. They've got the dual position, the center and the wing fullback. Are we expecting a 25-30 average? If you do, you're getting 100k in price rises. And if you can trade him down, someone down to him, obviously banking a bit of cash and getting up to a gun, that could obviously be a decent option as well. But how many minutes, how many games we're going to get out of him is going to be the question. When Garrick moves back, does he take to a Pelotu spot, or does he take Kula and Christian moves into the centers, for example? That's definitely a question to ask. Has Kula taken over Harper? All great questions. So if he has and he does really well, then this could be his spot longer term. And if not, we've probably got 3 to 4 weeks out of him in that position. Is that enough to make money? I'm not exactly sure. Will he play over Origin when Trebojevic is gone anyway? It's probably going to be a yes. Like you can see here, you've got 2 rookies in there. So that's the other question. You could bring him in now at 220. He plays a bunch of games, maybe helps you out a little bit in the wing fullback position, makes a little bit of cash, and then you can hold him all the way till Origin and he plays a few games there. So that's something to think about with him, and I hope that helps you out in your decision making. Davey's making some cash, but I wouldn't be picking him up now. We still don't see anything to do with Schuster, which is good for anyone who owns Davey. Olakuatu was amazing on the weekend, but he's still going to be up and down just based on his scoring over the last year or so. He'll have an awesome game in the 60s and then a game in the high 30s, but he's an absolute weapon there as well. On the Titans side, so we see really the big question mark is Toby Sexton. What do you do with him this week? Against the Manly boys, do you give him one last chance to really dominate and get big minutes and do really well? That's completely up to you. If you'd like to do that, if you'd like to go to Cleary or a DCE, or you could trade him out to go to a gun mid if you're trying to cover for Payne Haas. All definitely different options there if you'd like to do that. But holding or trading is completely fine in my book. If we move down to the forwards there, we've got Fafita and also Beau Fermor. Bowie, you just got to hold steady. He's done really well. He's got a couple of 30s and then a couple of big scores when he gets attacking stats. Will he be able to do that against Olakuatu? I'm probably not sure. I don't think so. But who knows how the Titans are going to go. Fafita obviously had a really good game last week, so if you've held on, just continue to hold on. A few people are asking if we should pick him up. I think if he does, if he has another big score, I think you can go, okay, he's back finally, because this is what he did last year. He had a bunch of games in a row where he gets 70, 80s, 90s and does a lot by himself and scores really well. So I think you'll probably want to see one more game out of him because you will lose him over Origin. So just be aware of that. If you're picking him up now, you're potentially going to have to trade him out again during Origin or hold him the whole way through. So think about that with the Titans there and Fafita. So that's that. Moving to the Storm and the Sharks, we've got 3 more to go. Pappenhausen, obviously, the 19 points wasn't ideal for anyone who brought him in, my brother, unfortunately. But, he's got to hold on to him. They got a really tough game against the Sharks. So, he's going to have to do a lot more work in general rather than just, splitting it across the bunch of halves and the forwards there. Everyone's really going to have to step up in this game to beat the Sharks. It's going to be a really, really good game, and I can't wait to watch that one. Munster, Hughes, Grant, all good holds, all good buys. Hughes, a lot of people saying, do I trade him? I just don't see it. Like he can score in all ways. He got a double on the weekend in tries. Just don't see it. The issue with him there, if you're looking at Xavier Coates, again, probably can still be a hold. He's fairly expensive in that mid 300s there, but what do you do with him? Who do you move him on to? The wing fullback position is really scarce at the moment, so keep him in your side and just deal with it. What happens here. Try not to play him if you can, but if you have to, then pray and hope he scores a try. Joshy King, I think you could still hold him for another couple of weeks. The team's looking the same. He's going to get that 50 to 55 minutes, and might even play a couple extra against the Sharks. And you should see Brandon Smith playing a few more as well. So maybe a few less minutes for guys like Tepai Maroa. Trent Lioro does a job. You got Wishart on the interchange bench there, which is interesting this week. So definitely some good minutes for the the mids there in this squad. If you're looking at the Sharks there, really not too much else to talk about. They've played really well. You got Talakai still in that position, so if you picked him up, awesome. He's gonna have a fun game there against Remus Smith, which will be a good one to watch. Nico Hines, I still think is going to be a good option for captaincy. He's going to have to do a lot if you don't have Payne Haas. He's going to have to do a lot this week in terms of kicking. He's going to run the ball a lot, and hopefully he can get a try assist or two in a really tough fought game. If you're looking a little bit lower, Teague Wilton's still being great. Cam McInnes still on the bench. I think for me with him, until we see him getting 55 minutes plus, I think he's it's someone to hold off on at this point. If you're looking down, 2 more to go. Roosters and the Warriors there. Teddy, clearly a hold. They could absolutely come out and dominate Warriors, and he could get 100. I said that last week as well, and he got 23. But again, someone you don't want to trade out, and then everyone goes, "Oh yes, he's cheap now." After a good game, he's really cheap. Let's get him in our sides. Just don't be that person that trades him out. Joey Manu is obviously the big one that's been doing really well the last few weeks, and a few people are asking me about him, and I still think he's going to be an option over the next bunch of weeks heading in towards Origin. He has a couple of nice games coming up, and we saw how he scored last year. So if you need a wing fullback, he's definitely a good option. If you're going to hold, I think if you're picking him up now, you're holding him for the rest of the year. So make that decision in your head. If you can do it, awesome. Sammy Walker, I think this is the week to hold him if you still have him. Had a decent one last week. Has an opportunity to make a little bit of cash this week if he does well. And this is the kind of game to do it against the Warriors. Unfortunately for Warriors fans, hopefully it's a little bit, hopefully it's a fairly close game, and the Roosters still don't play to their potential for you guys. But if they do, Walker could have a bit of a field day. Just with the way things are out, with the Warriors, they almost lost to the Cowboys, who aren't a great outfit, and the Roosters, put one on the Cowboys, for example. So that's that. Victor Radley, don't fall for that trap at the moment. Sam Verrills is back in the team here in the 9 jersey. Watson should come back and take a little bit of hooking minutes, but we'll probably take a few of Radley's minutes as well. I'm not exactly sure, but just be aware of that. They got Taukeiaho and also Crichton as well. So will Radley get massive minutes? I'm not exactly sure. Just be aware of that one going forward. Jesse Arthur's not an option now, but if you picked him up, awesome work. Just continue holding. We still see Vialea on the reserves. And UNA doing really well in the second row. There's no sign of Tohu Harris yet as well. Bailey Sirenen will be the one to make way anyway. So Aiken's great. Curran's a great option still, whether he's on the edge or in the 13 role. Either way is going to be fine. Adam Fanua-Blake is named, and if you listen to the analysing teams video, I still think that if you want him for round 13 and the buys, then he's a hold. If not, I'd be looking to move him on and upgrade elsewhere. All right, the last one there with the Dragons and the Knights. Not too much changes on the Dragons side. I've seen a few people saying, oh, we'll just move on from Hunt. They're not doing so well. Yes, they started really well. That was the thing. So, so did the Knights. Do we think the Knights' season's over? Probably not. Do we think the Dragon season's over? I don't think so either. They can easily turn that around really quickly. And if that happens, then Hunt's going to benefit and get 70s and 80s. Again, you don't want to be that person that trades him out and then he comes out and dominates. So don't do that to yourself with Benny Hunt. Just keep hold of him. And that's pretty much it in terms of them. And on the Knights side of things, obviously Ponga's there. He's going to keep losing some cash. If you got Clifford now, I think it's probably the time to move him on. We've got plenty of halves options. And if you want to, I think you should try and go up to a DCE or a Cleary if you can. And, with Randall there doing really well, Brodie Jones, Kurt Mann, all, good options. I wouldn't be looking to potentially bring them in other than a Brodie Jones potentially has, another 100 or so thousand to make from here, but not an urgent trade in. So there you go, guys. That's the team list for round 6. I hope that helped you out a lot. There's obviously plenty of game plan, plenty of strategy in that one, and really just like and subscribe. We really appreciate that, and we'll catch you in the next video where we got a little bit of origin strategy and then a little bit of a buy, hold, and sell, guys. So as I said, hope you enjoyed that. We'll catch you in the next one. See you later.